Hey, it's Jack Bly here, and today this video right here will solve lead generation forever in your business. All right, I know that's a big claim, but we will deliver on it today. If you don't know who I am, my name is Jack Bly. I've built my fitness coaching business to 107K a month, and I'm sharing what I've learned and it's worked really well along the way. So without further ado, let's get right to it. No BS, no fluff, let's jump right in. So you see the title and you heard the intro, you know this video will fix lead generation forever. So to prove this, we do have a cool picture of, of Jerome Powell printing a bunch of money here. But besides the fact, let's actually jump in. So this is how we do create predictable lead gen. Right? This is the first step that we need to fix this problem forever. We need predictability. All right, no more up and down months. I know so many coaches, especially myself in the beginning, struggled with up and down inconsistencies, unpredictable months, where it feels like sometimes you just get lucky when you sign a lot of clients, and then the next month you don't know what you did wrong or what you changed to not sign any clients. So here's what's going on, and let's break this down to a very first principles type of thinking. So the first thing we have to understand, what is a client acquisition system? So there's 5 components. If you actually go step by step, what's taking place. So the first step is attention. We must get attention of the group of humans who are potential clients. All right, so your niche, your target market, we want to get their attention first. All right, so this can be done a number of different ways. If you're running an ad, obviously placing that ad in front of the right people. If you're just creating content, getting the algorithm or your followers to just see that content, and then sending outbound. So just sending the outbound to the right group of people, and having them actually see the message. That's number 1, is the attention. Number 2 is converting that attention into interest. So interest. So it's kind of taking leads and converting them into engaged leads. All right, what that means is if it's an outbound message, them replying back positively, showing that they're open to whatever it is. Or if this is content, this is them potentially DMing you first. This is them commenting, engaging with the content, something to show more explicit interest. If this is an ad, this is obviously opting into the ad, whether they put in their email, whatever they're doing, they're opting in, they're showing explicit interest. That's number 2. And then number 3 is converting that interest into a call booked on your calendar. So if it's outbound, they reply positively, but now we have to actually get them booked on our calendar. All right, that's the next step. And the next step of that is actually getting them to show up. So they book call, awesome, hooray, but it means nothing if they don't show up. So that's number 4. And then 5, the final one is signing them to be a client. So turning those people that do show up on calls, those prospects, to actually paying clients. That is the 5 steps. All right, that is what a client acquisition system is, broken down into parts. So with that said, in order to make this predictable, all we need is to use system thinking plus the scientific method and apply to client acquisition. All right, so I know this might sound weird or abnormal, but it will all make sense in just a moment, I promise. And this is freaking high level stuff. All right, I learned this from one of my mentors, and it absolutely blew my mind. When I heard this, when I realized this, it changed the game for me. Basically, for each step of the system, what we have here is a stimulus and then key performance indicators. That's what KPIs means. Key performance indicators that track the effectiveness of the stimulus. All right, so when the world is a stimulus, maybe what's a KPI as well? We'll break this down, don't worry. So example for outbound DMs. So outbound DMs is you DMing someone else in your niche. That's what an outbound DM is. And so here's the 5 steps of the client acquisition system for outbound DMs specifically. All right, so we have attention. And so the only thing we're really tracking here for attention is the total, number of outbound messages that you're sending. All right, that's it. And then obviously we have to pick the right group of people. But the stimulus for this is the outbound message. All right, so a stimulus is the thing that you're putting in front of the human to elicit the action that you want. That's what a stimulus is. So in this case, it is the actual outbound message. What are the words that you're saying? And you put that in front of that is what the stimulus is. All right, so for interest here, the big KPI that we're tracking for interest is positive reply rate. Positive reply rate. So this is how many people are actually replying to the outbound message. All right, so you see we have KPI here, we have stimulus. All right, stimulus is a thing that we put in front of the human, and then KPI is how we track the effectiveness of that stimulus. All right, what percentage of those humans are taking the positive action that we want? All right, it's all going to come together here. Just give me a minute. This is going to change your lead generation, I promise you. And then number 3, we have calls booked. So the stimulus for this is your DM script, how do you actually get them to book a call? And the KPI here, what we're tracking is the appointment booking rate. Okay, so we track this. We're able to see, okay, cool. 4% of people book a call with us using this DM script. Very awesome. Then we have calls showed. All right, so the stimulus here is any pre-call reminders you have, any pre-call content you give them to consume. And the KPI here is show rate. How many people are actually showing up to their calls? And then we have client sign. So stimulus here is a sales script in your offer that you're using. The KPI is the close rate. All right, so this is the client acquisition system broken down into stimulus and KPI. So to bring this together, like once you know the KPIs of every step of the system, all you have to do to scale up your lead generation, to scale up your client acquisition, is reverse engineer to get the exact input required to achieve your revenue goals. All right, so stick with me here. Like this is gonna like blow your mind. All right, so I had this calculator that I created right here, called the Money Printer Calculator. And so what we have here, what we do is we put in your monthly revenue goal. So let's say you want to get to 30K a month. So we'll put this in right here, 30K. And then you just put in your KPIs here, different KPIs or different metrics. So first one is your program price. Let's say you charge 3K for your program. Cool. Then you have your close rate, your show rate, and your appointment booking rate. So those are some of the KPIs that we just went over. So close rate, let's say you're just closing 30%. So you're doing solid, nothing too crazy, very reasonable. Your show rate, let's say just solid at 80%. Again, nothing too crazy. This is very, average. Appointment booking rate, let's say you're at, 2.5%. Boom. So now what this gives us right here, we have these numbers. So we know we need 10 new clients per month to hit 30K a month. We know we need to book 42 calls. And then using this system, using this current client acquisition system, all we have to do, if these numbers are accurate, is send 1,667 messages in 1 month and you will make 30K. Period. All right. If your system is legit, you've tracked it properly, and you've done things properly, like this is a fact. This is just simple math. So this is the point you want to get it to where you have extreme predictability. When you do what I'm about to show you in this video, you can create predictability like this where you simply know for a fact, if I send this many messages, I will make 30K. All right. And to scale the system, it's quite easy. You just really change this number and then boom, you send this amount of messages per month. Like it becomes stupid simple when you do this correctly. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, well, that's great, but like all these metrics for me suck or they're messed up and it's not working. All right, so if that's the case, or if you're not tracking, I'm gonna show you how to fix that right now. All right, so going back to this sheet, how do we actually create this winning stimuli for every step? All right, so this stimuli here, let's say you're sending outbound, but like you're not getting any positive replies, like this message sucks. Or if you can't book any calls, like you are getting interest, but like no one's booking a call, this is how you actually create effective stimulus to actually elicit human action that you want. Here we go. This is the crazy stuff right here. So what we're gonna do is use the scientific method. And this process is what makes client acquisition predictable. So 3 big steps here. The first one is gonna run, what you can call a campaign or a test. All right, so put your scientist hat on. Imagine you're a scientist right now. And how, a scientist runs his experiments is, they do it in a very specific and disciplined way. So they're in a lab, it's a controlled setting, and they do that to control as many variables as possible. Or the variables are the different things basically in the experiment. So let me bring this back to client acquisition. So the variables for outbound are gonna be your branding. Or your branding, for example, it's the first thing that people click on when you send them a message. They're like, who is this guy? Or do I know him? They click on your profile, they're like, oh, okay, cool, he seems legit. And they give you time of day. So that's branding, that's the first variable. So if you change this, it can obviously alter the reply rate and the booking rates. We have the actual outbound message. So huge variable, the most obvious one. If I change what I say, it obviously can elicit different response rates. We have the DM scripts. So if you change what you say in the DMs, it can potentially book more calls or book less calls. And the last thing we have is the pool of people. All right, so if you sell a fitness offer, but you send it to a bunch of other fitness coaches, you're not going to get many calls booked. Like, of course you're not. These people are already fit. They already solved the problem. And so the pool of people that you send it to definitely matters. So these are the variables of your campaign. Okay. And so basically what we're going to do, we're going to run this campaign keeping all these variables consistent. There's a big reason for this. We have to basically test, are these variables, when we put them together, are they successful or are they not successful? Very important. Or the mistake that most people make is they don't track that. They don't keep this consistent. And they're just random. They send, a different message to this guy and a different message to this guy. They change their branding every 2 weeks. All right, they do different, call to actions to hop on a call. And so everything's random. Everything's constantly changing. So they literally have no clue what works and what doesn't work. This is why you're so inconsistent. This is why your business is so unpredictable. because you are literally changing the variables like every single day. And so how can lead gen be predictable if you constantly change the variables of the system? So important to realize. You must keep these variables consistent in order for you to actually find predictability. All right. And so when you're running this campaign, you want to get this minimum sample size to determine, for significance. Basically a minimum data set to say, hey, when I use these variables exactly, I get this result. And it's, this is going to be consistent if I send 250 or, 2,000 or 200,000. It's going to stay relatively the same. And so minimum sample size for outbound is about 250 messages with follow-ups. This is a good sample size for significance. That's number one. That's the first step to the scientific method. This is kind of like your hypothesis and you're running your experiment. You're keeping all these variables consistent. All right, so that is step one. Step two, once you do this, is you observe results. So you take a step back and you look at the metrics. All right, first thing here is you must track metrics. All right, so this is a must. If you're not doing this right now, like you're driving blind. You are literally driving a car blind. You're driving down the highway and you're absolutely blind. All right, you don't know what turns to take. You don't know what exit to get off of because you are blind. You have no GPS. You have no map. Like you are driving blind. So please, I'm begging you right here. Like if you want more predictable lead generation, you want to grow your business, you must track metrics. You must track these KPIs. They're so important because we need to make data-driven decisions, right? Every successful business owner, they make data-driven decisions based off of metrics, based off of numbers, based off of like what is actually happening. Not just based off of, it seems like it's not working. Or you get like 3 no's in a row, so you make an emotional decision, you change everything. No, data-driven decisions. Okay, so that's point number one, absolutely track metrics. And then basically when you have the metrics in front of you, you have the KPIs, you determine if the campaign is successful or not. So example KPIs for outbound is we want at least a 2% appointment booking rate. All right, that's what ABR stands for. So we want basically 2% of people that we message to book a call with us. That's minimum, bare minimum, that's what we want. And then for a positive reply rate, we want a minimum of 6%. All right, so we have these KPIs, so we run the test, and we basically are looking at these numbers. All right, did we achieve these numbers? If you're in KPI, that means you've achieved these minimum, numbers at least. You change absolutely nothing, and you scale the inputs. So if you have a winning campaign, do not mess with the campaign. Do not mess with this, test, this experiment at all. Do not change the variables. Please do not change it. All right, once you have a successful campaign, simply scale the inputs. What this means for outbound, if you're sending 50 messages per day, send 100, send 200, send 300. Max it out and scale the inputs as much as humanly possible. That is what you do here once you have a winner. And the game becomes quite easy. Now, if you're not in KPI, here's what you have to do. So let's say you only hit like 0.5% ABR or like it's not working at all. What many of you might be facing right now. Your stimulus sucks, your outbound message is not converting. What you want to do is change one variable at a time and run a new campaign. So this is hugely important. You only change one variable at a time. So you can only change one of these. All right. You don't want to change 2, 3, or multiple of these, all of them, because then you can't tell what's working, what's not working. So let's say, you have 0.5% booking rate, and so you change, the outbound message. All right. That's the one variable you select. You're able to clearly see if this has a positive effect or a negative effect on the ABR. You're able to clearly see that. When you run the test, after you run the test, you can clearly see, okay, this either got worse because of this, or this got better because of this. And you're able to have cause and effect. It's no longer random. And so the more tests you run, the more campaigns you run, just the more data you collect. You know exactly what the market likes, what the market doesn't like. All right, and you get literally closer and closer and closer to predictability and to winning, having a winning campaign with all these campaigns that you run. That is how you use the scientific method, and that is how you make client acquisition predictable. You literally repeat this process until KPI is achieved. Once KPI is achieved, then you do nothing and you simply scale the inputs. All right, this is it. This is the scientific method applied to client acquisition. This will completely transform your lead generation for the rest of your life. All right, you must apply this, and this will, holy crap, this will do amazing things for your business. This is how you create predictability, so you know the exact inputs required to achieve your revenue goals. So going back to this money picture calculator, you can have this equation. You can do simple math to hit new revenue goals. Now, obviously, there's problems that can come in. So let's say we want to scale to like 100K a month. So we want to scale this, and also we have to send a lot of DMs. So there's other problems that can come up, like, okay, well, On social media, I have this DM limit and I'm hitting this cap, so I can't send that many messages. Or with ad spend, sometimes on Instagram, it caps your ad spend. There's different problems that come up, yes. And so that becomes a game. Once you do have a winning campaign, you simply have to solve the problem of, okay, how can I actually scale the system and do more inputs? There's obviously problems that come up, but they're solvable. They're always fixable. There's always things you can do to work around it and scale your business. But that is the game. That is the game. All right. So this is how you fix lead generation forever. You apply the scientific method to it. You make sure to track things, use statistics, use systems thinking to completely solve this problem in your business forever. All right. So I hope this video was helpful. If you are a coach and you want to scale your coaching business, you can click the link below. It's my Calendly, so we can book a free demo. If you want to work together in depth to scale your business, we can do that. If not, no worries at all. And that is it for this video. You are amazing. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to this video if you liked it. The algorithm will push more videos just like this to your feed to help you, scale up and level up your business. And I hope you have an amazing day. I'll talk to you soon.